So at this time, I would like to introduce our speaker today, who we connected on LinkedIn recently while looking for an expert on teaching us the skills necessary to keep a consistent source of good quality leads for your business. So everyone, please give Denise Praul a hand for her presentation today. Denise, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Ryan. I seem to be having a connection problem. So if you guys freeze up again, I'll go out and come right back in. So if you'll watch for that, Ryan, I'd appreciate it. Hopefully that won't happen. So as Ryan said, my name is Denise Praul, and I own a company called Whiteboard Learning. And as I said in my introduction, really what we do in Whiteboard Learning is we help business owners stop spending so much time hunting for clients so that they can spend more time helping their clients. So Jeanette's scenario was fun this morning because she's got the 11 appointments. And so she should be spending time preparing tax returns and not hunting for new clients. If I can show her how to create a funnel of people that are sending her clients. So she can sit there and she can just be helping people with their taxes, getting paid instead of out there posting things on social media. And she'll have appointments just coming through the door on a regular basis. So that's basically what we like to teach businesses. And as I said, my target market is business owners who are wishing, wondering, worrying about where that next new client is going to come from. So I have many, many things I could share with you today, but I narrowed it down to a few things that can kind of get you started with that process pretty quickly. So the very first thing that I wanted to share with you is if you want to stop worrying and wondering and wishing where your next client is coming from, is really knowing how many referrals you need to make the money you want to make in your business. So I think probably if I went around and I asked each person, so how many referrals do you need to get this year to meet your revenue goal? You might give me a guess, but few people really understand that. Few people really know the number of referrals. So once you know the number of referrals, you might be absolutely on track with 11 appointments this week. That may be exactly what Jeanette needs to meet her goals. So she doesn't have to worry about, do I get 8 more appointments this week? Do I need them? Should I be out there social media? Should I be out there getting them? She knows that when she has 11 appointments this week, she's right on track with where she needs to go. If she gets more, that's fantastic. She's going to have even bigger income numbers than she anticipated. But if you know how many referrals that you need to get every single week in your business and you get those referrals, you know you're right on track. So I have a calculation worksheet, and basically, and I'll tell you how it operates. And then I put in the chat my Facebook page. And if you want to join that Facebook page, it's a private Facebook page where I do free referral training every week. If you join that Facebook page and in who referred you, if you put open in Indiana, I will send you that calculation worksheet that you can use. So I'm just going to explain a little bit about how that works for you today. So basically, you're going to put your revenue number of how much you want to make by referral. Now, you might have other sources of where business comes from. So you just, and maybe you don't, maybe your whole business is referral. You just want to think about how much money you want to make by referral. Then we run you through a calculation of what's your average dollar value of a sale. What's your closing ratio? You multiply that out, you come up with a number. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to take that number and divide it into how much money you want to make out of referral. It's going to give you an annual number of the number of referrals that you need. So I just did this with the CPA. We ran him all through the process. He needed 25 referrals, and basically he's working with corporate clients. He needed 25 referrals in order to meet his financial goal. We divided that by 12, and he basically just needs to get a little over 2 referrals a month. And because we put in their closing ratio, he doesn't even have to close those 2 referrals a month. He has to close many of them, but he also knows that if he doesn't close one, he's still on track. So if you're, and I'll tell you where this came from. I've owned a property tax consulting business for 23 years. I still own the property tax consulting business. And that's what was happening to me. I was worried all the time. I go to sleep at night thinking, am I doing enough? Am I doing enough? Am I doing enough? Am I talking to enough people? Am I networking enough? Am I getting enough business through the door? Am I doing what I need to do? And when I discovered this particular calculation, it made all the difference in the world to me, because with our CPA now, all he needs to do is know that he needs to get 2 referrals a month. Now he has to have a process in place to get those 2 referrals a month. But he knows as long as he's getting 2 referrals a month and his numbers were correct in the calculation, average value of a sale and his closing ratio. And I've got some tracking things that I teach people that shows them, that helps them get those numbers so that they can be accurate. As long as he's getting those 2 referrals a month, he knows he's okay. So with my property tax consulting business, I was 2 years in and I thought, I got to do a better job of getting referrals. Really, the whole business is referrals. And so I really went deep studying referrals. I joined a BNI group. I'm still a member of the BNI group. I went deep into that. 15 years ago, I co-purchased with the actual owner of the BNI franchise in Indiana, something called the Franchise Institute. And I became a master trainer for them. And I was teaching people that system, and then I implemented it in my property tax system. It didn't really work that well. It worked, but it was clunky and time consuming. And I was like, I'll never keep this system up. And so I sold off the franchise and I took the system that I'd been training to these people and I tweaked it and I tweaked it and I tweaked it. And the first year that I got that whole system in place, I doubled my property tax business with no extra time or money. And so my property tax system right now, I don't market it. I haven't marketed it for about 5 years, and it still brings referrals through the door every single week to me because I still have that referral system in place. And so about 5 years ago, I had some business friends who said, why would you keep that a secret? Why don't you share that with everyone else? And so I started Whiteboard Learning and I started sharing it with other business owners. So that's how this whole process got started. It's not a process that I work in theory. It is a process that I work in both my businesses every single day, and I know it works. So let's go back to calculating the number of referrals that you need. So if you'll join that Facebook group, I'll send you that calculation sheet. If you have any questions, you can just reach out to me. I'd be happy to help you. But the first thing you need to know is, how many referrals do you need? Because otherwise you're just out there wandering through networking events. You're out there asking people for referrals, and you really don't know if you are doing enough. Do you need to do more? Are you doing enough? Do you need to spend less time networking? If you have that calculation worksheet and you know how many referrals you need each month, then you're in good shape. So once you know how many referrals you need, I'm going to give you a couple of other tips and parts of the system that will help you. You've got to put a plan in place to get them, right? So the very first thing that every business owner needs to work on is, who do I want to meet, your target market, the benefit that you provide, and how will I introduce you? Those are the top 3 things every business person needs to know. The reason why is, if we cannot articulate to other people how to bring referrals to us, they will not do it. So if you say anybody or everybody who needs this, that means nobody, because they can't picture who they could possibly introduce you to. But if you're very clear and very specific about who you want to be introduced to, then I can start thinking about who I want to introduce you to. People really resist that ideal client, that target market, but let me tell you, the more niche you make that, the more money you will make. So first thing you want to do is you want to think about, who's your ideal client. It doesn't mean that's the only person you will work with. You want to think about your most best, highest client that you'd like to work with, and that's who you want to ask for, because then there's the low-hanging fruit down there, right? So the low-hanging fruit will find you. Those are the easy ones, right? You need to go out and you need to tell people to bring you the higher clients that you want, your ideal clients. The others will find you. People know what somebody who does financial planning like Tony does. They know what that means. So if they want financial planning, they're going to find Tony. But Tony really wants to work with these people that are getting ready for retirement. That's his ideal client. So anybody else who needs financial planning will find Tony, right? So you want to make sure that you're really asking for your ideal client, and you want to tell them who it is. The next thing you want to do is you want to make sure you're articulating the benefit of what you do. So many times what I hear is feature, feature, feature. So Culligan lady, she was talking about the features of not having spots on your silverware, the features of giving your clients good drinking water when they come in, but what's the bottom line benefit? So if I run a restaurant and I don't want spots on my silverware, then basically what I'm trying to do is create a complete customer experience, right? So I've invested in good training for my servers. I have the top chef in my restaurant, and I pass out forks that have spots all over them, right? That is not giving a complete customer experience. So when you're talking about getting a Culligan system in a restaurant, then you want to talk about how you invest in this and you invest in this, but maybe you're not thinking through the complete customer experience. And the same way with drinking water for someone who comes into the office. It's like when your clients come into the office, you want them to feel special and important. And when you can hand them a good cup of drinking water, that's part of the customer client experience, right? So you want to create a whole customer client experience, and water is part of it. So that's the benefit of using it, right? Not that I want a bottle of water in my office. I want to make sure that we offer this nice water to our clients when they come in. That's part of the whole customer client experience. That's the difference between features and benefits. And we are very proud of our features because we work really hard to make sure that we have great features once we get a client. But really what they buy from is the benefit. Even the biggest CFOs in the world still buy from emotion and benefit. And sometimes the benefit is just that I won't get fired or that it makes me look good to the board, but they all buy from the benefit, from the emotion, from the experience. So you want to make sure that you truly understand what that benefit is, and you want to make sure you're sharing that with other people, right? And then the final thing is, how do I introduce you? This is something that people struggle with all the time is I'll say, how can I help you? First of all, most of the time they say, I don't know. Or I'll say, how can I introduce you to them? Because I know somebody that I can introduce them to. And they say, just tell them what I do. Now, first of all, if I have to make up what you do, you may not want me to do that, right? I may not say what you want me to say. So that's the first thing. You don't want people out there making up what you do, right? And saying things. I've had people do email introductions where it's like, that's not even what I do. Where did they get that from? Lesson learned. I need to tell them what to say. I need to tell them what to ask, right? So that's the first thing. And the second thing is if you make it really hard for me and I got to figure out what to say to make that introduction, I'm probably not going to do it because I'm busy. I've got my own businesses to run, right? So you want to make sure that you have questions that people can ask to start pre-qualifying them. So you can ask them questions like with Jeanette, you can ask questions like, hey, have you had your property tax, that's my business. Have you had your income tax return done yet? Did you know that the time frame has been extended and you still have time to get your income tax return done? So you want to start teaching people questions to ask to pre-qualify them and kind of run them down the line. So if I say, have you had your income tax prepared yet? And they say no. And they're like, oh my gosh, it's starting to get late. And it's like, well, it is starting to get late, but they have extended it a little bit. And are you working with anybody or are you going to do it yourself? Well, we haven't even decided yet. And they're a busy family, right? And then Jeanette's taught me to say, well, you know what? I know somebody can just take that off your plate. Why would you even bother about that? You've got baseball practice. You've got all these different things that your family are doing. Why would you even want to prepare your own tax return? Hey, let Jeanette take it off your plate. That's how I'd introduce Jeanette, right? So if she could teach me to ask questions about, have you had your tax return prepared yet? And did you know that the time frame has been extended, so there's still time to hire somebody to get it prepared? So Jeanette can start teaching people questions to ask to start creating those referrals for her. So the top 3 things you need to know: target market, your benefit, and how people can introduce you. I call this the slow down to speed up method. Sometimes we're so busy out there meeting people, meeting people, meeting people. I got to do this. I got to post here. I got to do that. Slow down, take a breath. You need to back up, get everything in place for yourself before you can go out there and share it with other people. So slow down, take a breath, get these things in place, and then you can speed up. So the last thing I want to talk about is networking. Here's what I would say to you. Stop networking. Stop it. You probably already know all the people you need to know to make all the money you want to make. So here's my suggestion, and especially during the pandemic, people are used to going out to live networking events and passing out business cards and being very active with networking. We haven't been able to really do that during the pandemic. Here is a really strong practice for you if you want to get more referrals through the door. Work with the people you already know. So the people that you're networking with, you're just visible with them. The people you know, you have credibility with. Do you know how long it takes to build credibility from someone from visibility? A lot of times it takes a long time. Why do that when you have all these people you already have credibility with? Look through your LinkedIn, look through your database, look through your CRM. When was the last time you talked to this person? When was the last time you talked to this person? We have a tendency to think once people know what we do, they're just going to go out there and share it with the world. We're always top of mind to them, right? Not true. Not true. They think of you sometimes if something triggers it, but they don't think of you. Just like you don't think of them. You want to go back and you want to go back to your top relationships. Let's say you make a list of 20 people that are like, I really need to reconnect with them. Reconnect with them. Find ways to stay in front of them. And when you reconnect with them, what you want to do is you want to say, hey, I'm going to share with you what I'm doing right now. So you want to take, here's my target market, and here's the way I help them. And if you meet anybody that might be able to use my services based on that, here's how you can introduce me to them. It's like 1 to 2 sentences. So you're not being really salesy, which is what some people feel like. You're just saying, here's how I help people. Here's how I help people. Sales is only helping people, right? Here's my target market. Here's how I help them. If you find somebody you think could use my help, here's how you introduce me to them. And then you let them do the same thing for you. Go back to the people you already have credibility with. Reshare with them what you do. And if they're in your top 20 relationships you really think you need to stay in front of, find ways to stay in front of them. And I've got a top 20 ways to stay in front of them too that are kind of out of the box, but not bothering them. So that's part of the training that I provide. So I'm sure, Ryan, I'm pretty close to my 20 minutes, right?
Uh, you've actually got a couple of minutes yet, so if there are any other things that you want to cover, please do so.
Okay, I could talk for days, so I have to be really careful and check in. So that's why I'm checking in with you, Ryan. So let's just kind of go back through what we talked about. So the first thing is you need to know how many referrals to bring through the door, because that is going to relieve so much stress, and use your top client. If you sell Mary Kay, you don't want to calculate how many lipsticks you need to sell. If you sell Mary Kay and you're building a team, you want to calculate how many team members you need, right? You want to think that big. Because if you calculate how many lipsticks you need to sell, well, that's just going to be overwhelming, right? So think of your big clients. You want to sell those big clients. That's who you want to calculate that for. To know how many referrals you need. The second step is slow down to speed up. Get your feet under you before you keep going out there and talking to people, right? Because you are wasting a lot of time talking to people. You want to make sure that you can tell people who you want to be introduced to, the benefit of using your services, and how they can introduce you to them. How can they open up a conversation? Basically, in essence, creating a referral for you. They're out there creating a referral for you. And then the third thing we talked about is stop networking. Go back to the people you already know. The pandemic has been such a fantastic opportunity for that. Go back to the people that you already know, rebuild that relationship. You already have credibility with them. Share with them what you're doing and how they can help you. Let them share with you what they're doing and how you can help them. And then stay in front of those relationships. So these are some of the strategies that I teach. I've got a whole lot of them. I can tell you that, a whole lot of them. And it all works into a system. It builds on each other. So as I mentioned, I've got a Facebook group. It's called Roadmap to Unlimited Referrals. It's a private Facebook group. Ryan just joined it, and his wife. And basically, there's about 165 business people just like yourselves in there that are looking to grow their business by referral. Each week I go in and I do free referral training in there. And then I've got some really cool things coming up over the next couple of weeks. April 1st, later this week, I have Deb Walton, and she owns Only Indiana, no, not, yeah, Only Indiana, sorry. And so she and I are going to go live on there, and I'm going to talk to her about finding her target market, about her benefits, and how she can teach people to introduce herself. So we're going to do that live so you can actually see how that works. And then, so she's business to business. And then on April 6th at 3:30, I have another person who owns a cleaning company. And that's business to consumer. And he and I are going to do the exact same thing. So I'm going to work with him live on how to find his target market, his benefits, and how to help people introduce him. So if you want to join the Facebook group, I can send you that calculation worksheet because I have your email. And then also, if you want to join that group, you'll get the free referral training that I do all the time. You can look back at the old ones. And then I've got those 2 people coming on live that's going to kind of give you an example of what we talked about today. Does anybody have any questions I can answer for you?
I have a quick one because why I use mine has not been. I lost the chat information and didn't say what your Facebook just called me to something.
I can't, you're breaking up. Ryan, can you share that?
Sharon, you were breaking up pretty bad. I believe what Sharon was asking is if you could
Okay.
share the name of the group again.
Absolutely. And there's a link in here as well that you can link to. It's
Can you
Roadmap
just
to
say
Unlimited, yeah,
way
it's Roadmap
to
to Unlimited Referrals.
a roadmap?
Mhm.
I think her connection wasn't stable there. So there she is. Sharon, were you able to catch the name? Okay.
Yes, I did get it. And that's the reason I was asking because my Wi-Fi is like cutting it out. So I lost the whole chat when it disconnected and came back on. Thank you. I got it.
Perfect.
Awesome.
I just have a comment, Denise. First of all, I appreciate that. It was like a little kick in the butt for me. No, truly, we do this a lot and we get in our ruts and we just keep saying the same thing. And it was just, I appreciate you. Well, first of all, I think the thing I appreciated most is to ask for a clear and specific client. When I think about it, a clear and specific client for me is someone who's building a home. I mean, great, I'm going to take all those other people, but someone who's building a home, they're making decisions now while they're building their home. And they need to decide now while they're building their home to pre-plumb their home for a water softener. Because if I had a dime for every person who built a home and they did not plan for a water softener and now they cannot have one, or they'd have to, pull up the slab concrete, and they get mad at me and it's not my fault. So that was eye-opening. And the other thing I wanted to say was, you were looking for business owners who are wishing and wondering and worrying about where their next client is. I don't own this business. but I own my territory, and I'm 100% commissioned rep. So those rules and guidance certainly does apply to me. Is she gone?
No, she's still on.
Oh, she went off my view. Okay.
Denise, you're muted. Oh, I'm sorry, Kim.
That's okay.
There we
But
go.
those things certainly apply to me. I mean, my business owner of this Culligan franchise, he's running this business, but I'm running my territory. So I just appreciate you bringing all of it up, and I listened intently, and I'm actually in the middle of getting on that website or that Facebook site, Roadmap to Unlimited Referrals. Thank you.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you, one of my very best clients I'm working with right now is the top salesperson for a painting company. And the owner of the painting company, I've got a boot camp that he's going through right now. The owner of the painting company wouldn't pay for it, so he paid for it himself.
Yep.
And he said, that's the best money I've ever spent. He is the top salesperson in the painting company right now.
Yeah.
So you're right, it applies to sales as well when you're out there on your own, especially if you're commission based.
Yep.
Does anyone have any other questions for Denise?
Thank you guys. This was a lot of fun. I really appreciate it. Thanks, Ryan, for inviting me.
You are welcome. Everyone, let's give Denise a hand for her presentation today.
Thank you.